Live from the hippest spot online, you've arrived at the Pop Culture Juke Joint, the only weekly podcast you'll need for intelligent showbiz chats. Located just up the street from the Peach Pit and down that dark, damp alley behind Fonzie's Garage, you'll find former newsman and current hard-boiled crime writer Anthony Venutolo, chatting with guests about everything from old-school classics to new-school staples. So head up to the bar, grab a drink, and settle in here at the Pop Culture Juke Joint. Now, your host, Anthony Venutolo.
Welcome to another episode of the Pop Culture Juke Joint, where each episode we take a deep dive into one particular aspect of pop culture, be it movies, TV, books, music, comic books, you name it. This week, co-host Jack Lugo and I are joined by my former news colleague, Vicki Hyman. We chat about the new Netflix dramedy, is it? Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? Well, we'll talk about that. Glow, the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. It's an absolute joy to watch. We're going to chat about why we love this show so much, and we'll probably find out a little bit about those real gorgeous ladies of wrestling. So grab your drink, sit back, relax, enter the juke joint. Jack Lugo, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm extra happy tonight because we here at the Pop Culture Juke Joint have a very special and esteemed guest. We have none other than Vicki Hyman, my former news colleague. Vicki, how are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you, Anthony?
Vicki,
and Jack?
Well, I'm okay. It's great to have you here.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
Vicki, I'm giddy because this is like old times to me. This is like all these old like memories are coming back into my brain.
I know it's been more than a year. Can you believe it?
It's been more than a year, and I will honestly say this is not a Vietnam flashback. This is actually a very, very good feeling. And what better time to have you on our podcast than to speak about an incredible new, I call it a dramedy, a comedy, I don't know what it is, but we'll talk about that. Glow on Netflix, which stands for The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, correct?
Yes.
You're right.
All right. Yeah. So now I know you and Jack took a deep dive into this first. I'm a little behind, which is fine. Okay, let's not shame people who are behind a little bit on this kind of stuff, okay? Vicki? So we're going to talk about this a little bit. There will be spoilers, I imagine, because you guys are just dying to, spoil it for everybody.
I'm not. I'm not been very, very nice to Anthony, yes. Saying, have you gotten up to, have you? I haven't even wanted to use the word twist yet.
Right. You know, I'm driving home from work tonight, and I'm talking to Vicki on the phone, and she's just dying to tell me what this twist is. and I could just tell she's, seething to, tell me. She wants to, she's angry and her nails are in the steering wheel. She wants to tell me so bad, but I'm glad we're saving it for the podcast.
Okay.
So guys, I happen to love this show. I don't remember a time when I was watching a TV show where I actively really wanted to get to the next one and the next one and the next one and the next one. I didn't want to savor this. I wanted to blast right through it. I mean, am I alone here?
No, that's what I did. I kind of blasted through it over a weekend. I watched all 10 episodes, the very first weekend that it came out. I was really looking forward to it because I checked out this documentary that the Netflix put out in 2012 about the real organization, the real Glow. Mm-hmm. And that documentary is actually, it was very interesting. And they went into the real women who actually, played a role in this program. And it was very, it was very interesting just to follow what their lives were like and what their experience was. And then when I found out they were doing the show, I wasn't sure to what degree the show was going to, go into what the real life experience was. But I really enjoyed the show. It was very bingeable. I mean, I like you, I just wanted to just blast right through it. And I kind of did. How about you, Vicki?
It took me about 2 days to get through it. When I was doing my summer TV preview, I was watching a whole bunch of trailers. I hadn't gotten to the actual shows yet, and this was by far the best trailer. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a great show, but I did think the trailer was terrific, and the TV show absolutely lived up to it. It was fun, it was smart, and I really enjoy seeing a show that takes women's relationships seriously. So it personally spoke to me in actually a whole season of really good television about women coming off The Handmaid's Tale, which is probably the last thing I binged like this.
Okay, yeah, that's a show I really want to check out too. The Handmaid's Tale. Now, the conversation, some of the reviews I've read about Glow, there's this kind of blend between exploitation and empowerment. And when I watched this, this kind of came across as a female empowerment show. But on the surface, obviously, you're looking at these wrestling, these women taking on these wrestling personas that were kind of exploitive and reductive. But it doesn't. When you're watching it, it doesn't really occur to you. You're really caught up in the relationships between the characters and the women, and they kind of felt liberated taking on these personas, maybe because of the opportunities that some of them were actresses. They didn't have those kinds of opportunities coming to them to play, to kind of let themselves go and explore characters that they can kind of sink their teeth into.
It's interesting. It's about self-actualization, but within these really broad stereotypes of themselves. And the one thing, there was a scene in, I think probably the 9th or 10th episode, where Beirut, who is actually, I think, an Indian American woman, she's a med student, and she goes out there and she's one of the villains because wrestling has to have heroes and villains. So she's a villain, and she's living up to this sort of terrorist character, and people are booing her, and then she gets off, she's like, oh my god, they really hated me. And I actually wish that they'd explored that just a little bit more, and maybe that's what the second season, God willing, is for.
I think so. And also I think the character's name is Tammy, and she plays her wrestling persona is this welfare queen. Mm-hmm. And she has this moment of conflict before they get to the live show. If this is something she wants her son to see.
Her son goes to Stanford. This is not a welfare queen. This is a serious. That's the other thing that I thought was interesting. Some of the characters, some of these supporting characters were kind of very broad and not very deep. But some of them, like Cherry, who is a stunt woman who's worked with Marc Maron's character before, and she takes this whole thing very seriously. She wants to be a serious actress, and so she's got this conflict between this new thing that she's fallen in love with, this wrestling thing, and an opportunity to actually, follow the path that she's been on to become a serious actress. And I just think that some of these characters were just so really interestingly written, and just the acting was wonderful. Oh, and Sheila the She-Wolf.
That was an incredible character. There's an earlier episode, I think it was either episode 3 or episode 4, where you see her without the wig for just a brief moment at the teaser, the very beginning of the episode.
How she becomes Sheila. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's just fascinating. I thought maybe we were going to learn even more about her before the end of this series, but I think, like you said, season 2, there's so much material there to kind of explore, and some of the things that were teased in this first season in terms of the supporting characters. Those are things that I think are going to play out for sure if we get a season 2 of the show.
I just hope she learns how to play a new song on the Casio.
What was the song she was playing over and over again?
Exodus.
Right.
Yeah. So let me ask both of you a question. I know Vicki might be able to answer it. I'm not sure if Jack can, but I know the pedigree of Glow has a little bit to do with Orange is the New Black, correct?
Mm-hmm. And Nurse Jackie.
Right. Now, I think this really is a question that has to do more with Orange is the New Black. How does this show compare to Orange is the New Black? Because, as you know, Orange is the New Black it's a female driven show. It takes place in a prison. But a second ago, Jack was talking, and both of you were talking about female empowerment. How does this differ? Is it the same? I only watched, I think, the first couple episodes of Orange is the New Black, and I kind of fell off. Not because I didn't like it. I just didn't have the opportunity to keep going. So can one or both of you maybe speak a little bit about that?
Well, I just finished watching the latest season is, the fifth season, I think, of it. You were talking earlier about whether this is a dramedy I think this is more of a pure comedy, not a pure comedy, but it's certainly closer to comedy than it is to drama. Whereas Orange is the New Black, I think, is really a true dramedy where you have a lot of silliness, a lot of humor, but also a lot of really deep, intense moments. But in a sense, it is about women's relationships. There's the whole thing about the Bechdel test and whether whatever pop cultural property is about women talking to each other about something other than a man. And I think they even though in this show in Glow, part of the central tension between Debbie and Ruth is about a man, it quickly moves beyond that. And it's just about betrayal, like a general betrayal, as opposed to specifically about the man. So, they're both about female relationships. I do think that Orange is the New Black goes deeper, but Orange is the New Black is also just on a quality level. It's a lot more up and down than this show is. This show, it's like half an hour. It's only 10 episodes, which I thought was, it's like 10 episodes is now my new favorite thing. 10 episodes, that's all you need. Just 10 episodes. Like Orange is the New Black was 13 episodes and it was too much. But I think Glow is this season compared to the latest season of Orange is the New Black, much better. Michael.
Vicki, I thought you were really starting to come around to the 16 episode seasons of things like Fear the Walking Dead. Wasn't that your thing? No, I'm joking because I know how much you hate that. Let's talk a little bit about Alison Brie. I've come to really admire her on Mad Men. I didn't watch Community, so I wasn't aware of the extent of her role on that show. But I was sitting watching this with my wife, and we were having a debate as to who the main character was. Now, you can argue it's Alison Brie. You can argue it's what's her name? Debbie
Gilpin.
Right, yeah.
Debbie.
So I'm inclined to say it's Alison Brie, but I think Alison Brie gives a performance here that's really it's great. It's a great little performance. It's hard to act bad. What I mean by that is she goes through almost every episode putting on these weird, horrible, half good, half bad accents.
I'm sorry. I think the Russian one is great.
I love the Russian one.
I think she really nailed that.
No. I agree. I love the Russian one. But
it took a while for her to just find that persona, and she tried a few others before that.
Right, like every time she would go into her cat on a hot tin roof soliloquy, and that's kind of like
that was awful.
It's kind of hard to.
I saw a tweet. Right. I saw a tweet from Sarah Silverman that she kind of compared Alison Brie in this show to Shelley Long in Cheers as Diane Chambers, and as I was watching it, that's what it reminded me of. She has a way of getting across that kind of she's an earnest character. She's really serious about being a serious actress, but at the same time, she's kind of obnoxious to a certain degree, a little intolerable, but likable at the same time. It's that those kind of qualities that Shelley Long, kind of had in Cheers, she kind of has in this show.
And it's funny because Vicki and I were talking the other night, and we were speaking of similarities, and I was saying how much Marc Maron's performance reminded me of Tom Hanks's performance in A League of Their Own.
Oh yeah,
and I love his performance as the coach in that film because he runs the gamut of emotion anger. He's hungover. He cares about the girls, and like the Marc Maron performance, I absolutely love. I mean, he's been talking about this role for quite some time because he's been shooting it for a little while. So every week on his podcast, he would mention his role and what Sam Sylvia was all about, and I'm like, wow, that sounds like a really cool role, and I think he is hilarious.
Oh, yeah, he's great in this.
I mean, let's face it. I mean, he's pretty much playing Marc Maron, but still, I can't get enough of that character. Love it. Vic.
One of the things that I also loved about this show, and I'm hoping that they continue with this, is that it wasn't just automatic Marc Maron and Alison Brie, you know, their characters are going to have this very tense relationship, and then they're eventually going to fall into bed together.
No, don't.
And I'm hoping it's more of a Don Draper, Peggy Olson kind of relationship, like helping each other grow kind of thing. And there is also a 20-year difference between the two, so I'm really hoping it doesn't happen because of that.
Vicki, there's a 20-year difference between him and every girl on that cast.
That's true. That's true. Except maybe Cherry. Cherry seems a little bit older. But anyway, I'm really happy they did not go there at all. And it would be like, you also, I mean, it is about women's relationships, but one of the things that I loved about Mad Men, and I'm hoping to see with this, is that like just male-female relationships that don't necessarily have the sexual tension to it.
Right. Well, I mean, Sam and Diane, right?
No, but that had the sexual.
It did. I know. I mean, they always go that way. They always go that way.
And it's like, you know, I want to like prove when Harry Met Sally was wrong, that men and women can be friends.
Right. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I when I was watching Brockmire, my wife got a little angry that they hooked up in like the second episode. So I mean, you know, it happens. But I'm with you. I think the fact that he kind of doesn't like her, but he does like her, but he doesn't like her, I think it's a perfect relationship. Mm-hmm. Perfect. So where do we see the show going?
For season 2, I think we are going to explore sort of the problematic issue of like especially with the characters playing the heel personas, how they get to deal with that. I mean, I'm sure that's probably what they're going to get into, and obviously we see the personal relationships develop more. I'd like to see Alison Brie and Betty Gilpin sort of become friends, but although we know that central tension of the show, is about them dealing with their history. But I think they gotta because I think a lot of those scenes, the one with the welfare queen and the Indian character. Beirut. I think that those are issues that I think are going to come back and be, important going forward. Assuming that they did get a second season, because I don't know if they are officially renewed, but I have to imagine they will.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Vicki. I mean, I get press releases from Netflix. I don't remember seeing a press release announcing a season 2.
I do not know. Right. I'm looking it up right now. I have not heard an announcement.
That's what I always loved about Vicki. Vicki always was a master multitasker.
Yes, I'm doing it right now. Yeah.
Not yet? Well, like Jack said, I can't imagine this thing not coming back.
The creators say they've set it up for a season 2, but I do not believe that they have actually gotten the okay for it.
I mean, if you think about it, last year at this time we were talking about Stranger Things, and that was kind of another 80s original series that kind of harkened back to the 80s with the Stephen King and John Carpenter, Steven Spielberg references. And I don't know if that show got renewed right away. I mean, everyone kind of assumed that it would, but I don't know. I think it took a while.
I think it got renewed fairly quickly.
It did? Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think they had to wait like months and months. I think it was like a month or 2.
So let me ask you guys a question here. I mean, Netflix now has a bona fide track record. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what are they getting that some networks just can't really put their finger on? What is it? Is it nostalgia? Is it dumping them all at once? Like, what is it? What do you guys think?
I don't know. You have any thoughts, Vicki?
I'm thinking, well, they take more risks. And it seems to pay off for them. Although now Netflix has also become a little quicker to cancel shows. They canceled Sense8. I know they canceled a couple of shows recently. So they also are quicker to kill off shows that they were not so quick to do before. Like Hemlock Grove lasted a couple of seasons at least. That was one of the earlier ones. But yeah, I think they're finding that risks are really paying off, and the binging thing people seem to be really into, and that's something that a few of the networks have been moving towards digitally, like releasing shows all at once online, so you don't have to wait week by week. But like I just sit there, I'm always thinking about CBS and all the shows that they put out, and how it's always the same thing over and over and over again, and how frustrating it is to watch some of these shows and know exactly what's going to happen. And it's, but there are TV viewers out there, 50, 60 people who are older, I think, generally, who find comfort in that, and they like that.
Vicki, do not say anything bad about Kevin Can Wait. Okay.
That's not the one I hated. That is not the one I forget.
Was Dr. Ken on CBS? Was Dr. Ken on CBS?
No, Dr. Ken was on ABC, and that was awful. I'm just sorry about their CBS's procedural shows. They came out with oh my God.
I can't deal with those.
NCIS, Bull. Oh my God, I watched Bull, and I knew immediately who the bad guy was in the pilot, and it was just so dreadful. And I'm like, my mother's gonna love this, and she did.
Yeah,
every time I come across a commercial for Bull, I just want to get rid of it. Like if I'm watching live TV or whatever on CBS and I see that commercial, I just kind of want to poke my eyes out. That's how bad I hate that. I never watched it, but it's like I know.
But there are still a lot of viewers who love that, who are just comforted by it, and that's what they want to do. They want to sit down. They don't want to really be challenged in any particular way. And I just think that growing up, people who are younger, have had so many different ways to watch television, so many different properties. There's just so much going on. I just think they're more open to newer things. And that's what Netflix is. They're willing to take risks.
Last week, I think it was, Ashton Kutcher was on the Howard Stern show. And he was talking about The Ranch. And, yeah, okay. Fine, but
I watched a couple of episodes,
which I have not seen yet. But because of his interview, I do feel inclined just to check it out. But
no, I have to say, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you.
Yeah.
That actually was kind of a risky show.
Yeah.
It was really weird. It was a multicam, but also it was a weird show. I don't think it worked, but I appreciate, Netflix for trying.
Well, now it's back for its second season. And what he was talking about Netflix is Howard was asking about Netflix and how is it working with Netflix. And he says that he absolutely loves working with Netflix because they leave you alone. Mm-hmm. Okay, now in
the creative freedom.
Creative freedom. Now he said that it's not that they didn't give notes. They gave suggestions, and 9 times out of 10, the suggestions were pretty much warranted, and everyone was kind of on the same page. But maybe there's something to creative freedom that you don't see on the conventional networks. Maybe that's why stuff on AMC or maybe FX works a little bit more, because you can take a greater risk. No risk, no reward. So maybe there's something to that.
Yeah, maybe it's not as formula driven as the network shows, as Vicki mentioned. I could see that. I mean, because even this show Glow. I mean, like you said, it's part drama, part comedy. It's maybe not even so much a dramedy, like you said. It's kind of hard to pin down exactly what it is, but it's a fascinating show, and there is a nostalgia factor to this as well. I mean, and because even if you didn't grow up watching wrestling, or you don't have any interest in wrestling, the time period and sort of how the characters develop their love of the entertainment of wrestling, and it gets I think Netflix just sort of gets it. I mean, and they with Stranger Things, it had that 80s kind of nostalgia quality as well. So I think it's sort of maybe a blend of the creative freedom and and like sort of like an appeal to like a nostalgia factor.
Sure,
as well.
and that, what a soundtrack! God, I love that soundtrack. My God, right?
It's a wonderful soundtrack, particularly if you grew up in the 80s. And Anthony, I'm telling you, the last few minutes of the 10th episode, where, no spoiler here, you actually see it on television. The way it's done, actually, like, it has footage as if people were actually watching it on like a crappy television.
That's
but
awesome.
They have like, I think, a Pat Benatar song. It's just great. It's
Love
so
it.
great.
Love it. I mean, I Jack, I was telling Vicki, I think yesterday, that thus far my favorite moment of the show was in the first episode where Sam Sylvie is looking out to the ring and he hears Journey's Separate Ways and he envisions the girls of Glow in this elaborate 80s over-sexualized music video, watching Alison Brie and
Betty Gilpin.
Yes. During Separate Ways. I love that moment. I think it's a great moment. And that's not to say there isn't other great musical moments, but killer stuff, man. Totally.
Yeah, they just get so much right, and the music is just one of those elements. Yeah.
So let me ask you guys something here, okay? You're going on a desert island. You can only take one Netflix 80s nostalgic show with you. What is it? Is it Stranger Things? Is it Glow? Or is it Eddie Murphy Raw?
Oh, that's a really hard one. I'm really nervous about the second season of Stranger Things, but I have to say I give the edge to Stranger Things as it's just so. I mean, there's just more. It's just there's more there for me.
Okay. What about you, Jack?
Yeah, I think I have to agree with Vicki. I mean, it depends on if you're something. Because the whole thing is, I think that Stranger Things offers more, that you get more out of it. But this show is very entertaining, and you can, definitely, kind of lose yourself in, just you don't have to really, concentrate too much. But it's a fun show to watch, Glow. But yeah, I'd have to go with Stranger Things.
You guys are way too cerebral for me. So before we hit the record button, you guys were sort of shaming me for not watching all the way through in preparation for tonight's show. Vicki was talking about the moment, the twist. Like, what is this, an O. Henry story, Vicki? What am I missing here?
It's not really a twist. It's just, and Jack said that I think he saw it coming, and I actually did not see it coming. And it's not like a twist that changes, like, where this whole show is going, but Marc Maron's character finds out.
Wait a minute! Wait! Don't tell me. He finds out that. Wait! I'm gonna guess, and you're gonna tell me whether I'm right. That the little stalker girl is his daughter.
Yes! Oh my God!
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you saw it coming too.
Yeah. Well, after you say you saw it coming, I mean, my God! At this point, I'm like, well, what would be predictable here?
It's funny, like, cool. I wasn't really tracking her character as much as I was tracking the other characers. So when, like, it happened, I was like, oh.
Well, it makes sense. She was so into him. And, at first you think, oh, she might have a crush on him. But no, that's her dad. And she's proud of his schlocky work. Yeah.
Schlock movies, yeah.
Her dad is Roger Corman, for God's sakes.
Well, wouldn't you be proud?
Of course I would, man. Or Lee, whatever, from Toxic Avenger. So, all right. So that's a cool twist, I guess. I mean, that adds another layer of pseudo conflict, I imagine, right?
Yeah, and that's something that obviously they're going to explore more if we do get a season 2.
All right. Well, that wasn't such a big twist. Vicki made it sound like it was something monumental.
No, I just thought it was. I thought it was a really good moment, and the way it happens is also pretty funny.
All right. All right. I'm gonna
leave it at that.
Okay. I look forward to seeing it in the next couple of episodes, I guess. I mean, shit. What haven't we said so far about this? I mean, I think we've said all that we've had to say about Glow tonight. What do you think? Are we missing out on anything?
It's very fun, very bingeable. I enjoyed it. How about you, Vicki?
I think we body slammed this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what, Vicki? There's a reason why you're on the show tonight. and it's for stuff like that.
Thank you.
You just keep those coming. Vicki, where can people find you on Twitter?
Vicki Hy, Vickihy, because I don't like people making fun of my last name.
Okay, well that's kind of a cool Twitter handle, I'd say. And
it was inspired by Amy Cooperinsky, who is Amy Coop.
Amy Coop, I know. I'm gonna give her follow Amy Coop. Okay, she's not on the podcast tonight, but yeah, she could be. And Jack, where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Jack Lugo 1.
At Jack Lugo 1.
Jack Lugo 1, Anthony. So not Jack Lugo, because you were tweeting at Jack Lugo for a very long time, and it was not Jack Lugo.
Yeah. Did the other Jack Lugo get back to you at any point?
No, he didn't, in fact. And I just thought you were ignoring me. So that took me a couple weeks to figure out. All right. Well, guys, I really liked this dynamic. I want to see you back here again, Vicki, for something interesting. Okay, for something interesting. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's the summer and there's not so much interesting going on.
Well, there's Twin Peaks.
Oh my God, I can't even with Twin Peaks.
Okay, and you know what?
I cannot even.
Do you watch it, Vicki? Do you watch Twin Peaks?
I have been watching it. Okay. Yes, I think it's on like a 1 or 2 week hiatus right now, and I was so thankful. But honestly, the phrase "I can't even" was created for Twin Peaks because I can't even.
Well, Vicki, feel free when the show wraps for the season to come back and chat to your heart's content with Jack about it. He's dying to talk about Twin Peaks with someone. I have no frame of reference for this stuff. So Vicki,
there is no frame of reference for this show. There's no frame of reference.
Vicki's right, but that's what I love about the show. I'm like, I know it's weird and it's hard to follow. It takes a lot of effort, but for some reason, I've just been really enjoying it.
All right, well,
I know that's not everyone.
All I know is that something whacked out must have happened a couple of weeks ago, because that's all people were talking about.
Oh my God,
on Twin Peaks, on Facebook. Yeah, I'm like, an
atomic bomb went off, and like a suit-covered Abraham Lincoln went asking everyone for light, and he kills people by crushing their skulls.
That was only like a small portion.
Yeah,
of it.
and then the giant, levitates, and like Laura Palmer comes out of his head in an orb. There you go.
God Almighty. All right, well, Vicki, when that's over, you come back and you can dissect this all with Jack, okay? Once again, this was great. I'm going to pour myself a drink right now. Jack, as always, it's been fun. And Vicki, this has been like sweet as pie, It seems like old times, okay? This is it. This is me. I'm signing off for the week. Don't forget, subscribe on iTunes, review on iTunes. Right, Jack?
Yes, exactly.
All right. I'll see everyone later.
All right. Thanks, Anthony.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Vicki.
Enjoyed this episode of the Pop Culture Juke Joint? Then don't forget to tip the barkeep by subscribing and reviewing us on iTunes and Stitcher. Also, for some sizzling noir tales, head on over to Amazon to check out Anthony's hard-boiled fiction, available in print, digital, and audiobook formats. On social media, follow Anthony on Twitter at Anthony Venutolo, or like his page on Facebook. For everything else, please visit his webpage at www.anthonyvenutolo.com. We'll see you next week.